Hello again. I'm sure you guys are probably wondering why you're seeing me again so soon. This is probably the fastest I've ever done 2 videos in a row, which is unusual. But there is a reason, and it is directly related to my last video. So, you know how I said I try my best to save money because one major event could really wreck my savings? Well, that event happened. Like just a few days after I made my last video. So, what transpired was the wheel bearing in my trailer tire went out and it subsequently just completely ground out the interior of my wheel to the point that it just fell off. The whole tire just fell right off the trailer. I'll put some pictures here so you can see it, what exactly is going on with this. It is done for. It is damaged absolutely beyond repair. There's no doing anything for that tire at all. So unfortunately, it happened in a really terrible place. I was in a very downtown metro type area, right in front of like a big judicial complex where it was like official parking only, and it was not a place that you're supposed to be at any time for any reason. And I became broke down with 2 vehicles and a trailer. It was a bad day, y'all. It was a very, very bad day. So I called around to try to find a tow company to tow it to a shop, and all of the places were quoting me around 125 bucks plus mileage depending on, where I had to take it to. So I'm like, okay, well first I need to figure out where I can take it to. So I called a few shops, and the shops are more or less like, we can do a new tire, but we can't do any axle or hub or any sort of repair like that. So it was like one or the other. And then there were 2 shops that could send a mobile technician out, but all of them were like 100 bucks an hour with a 2 hour minimum. So, and they wouldn't know whether or not they could do anything for me until they got there. So basically what they were telling me was you're going to pay 220 bucks just for someone to come out and look at it, regardless of whether or not they can fix it. And if you have one or the other of these issues that we can either fix or we can't fix, it doesn't matter. You're still paying us 220 bucks. So I'm like, I'm not going to have a mobile technician come out because I know that what's happened is well beyond just a tire replacement. You can look at the picture and see that it's well beyond just a new tire. So I found a shop that was about an hour away that is both a trailer dealer and repair shop and a CNC machine shop. So I called them, and the lady explained to me that they're a full service shop, that no matter what it is, if it's fixable, they can fix it because they have everything that would be necessary: welding, machining, parts, all of that. They have it. So I'm like, great, but she's an hour away. So I called a few more tow companies. Like I said, there were 125 base and then mileage. So the mileage, they do up to 20 miles, and I think she was like 40 miles away or something like that, 45 miles away at the shop. So it was going to cost me, 200 bucks just to get the trailer to the shop. And I'm like, that's way too much money. So I tried to call AAA. AAA tells me I have AAA plus. They tell me that you need to have RV coverage in order to cover a trailer. My AAA only covers the vehicle, any towing or whatever for my vehicle, but not for a motorcycle and not for a trailer. So if you have a motorcycle or you have a trailer and you have AAA thinking that it's going to cover you, it won't. You need some sort of additional coverage for that. Then I called my motorcycle insurance because I'm like, okay, the motorcycle's on the trailer when it failed. And I didn't mention that I noticed that it happened and I got the motorcycle down before it dropped my bike. So there was no damage to my bike or anything. So I call my motorcycle insurance thinking, the bike's on the trailer. It's a motorcycle trailer, like maybe it'll be covered. So my insurance tells me the same thing, that they do offer motorcycle trailer coverage, but it's an add-on that you have to pay for, and I didn't have that add-on, obviously. So I upgraded both for going forward. Now I know, and if you don't know, do that. So there was no coverage at all for any of this. So I had to figure it out myself. So a friend of mine is like, well, go to Home Depot or U-Haul or something and rent a pickup truck because it's small enough that you can throw it in the bed of a pickup truck. It doesn't require a full-on flatbed tow truck. So I'm like, all right. I go to Home Depot and there happens to be all these day labor guys outside, and one has a truck, pickup truck, old beat up pickup truck, and a sign that says he'll haul and move and whatever. So I go up to him and I ask him, how much would you charge me to take my trailer from here to here? And he tells me $120, but that's lock, stock, and barrel, no gas, no mileage, no nothing, just 125 bucks. So I say, okay, well, let me go inside of Home Depot, see what they say it'll cost for me to just rent a truck myself for an hour or two and see if I can't get this done myself. So I go inside of Home Depot. It's 20 bucks to rent it for 75 minutes and then $22 for every hour beyond that. So I figure it'll take me an hour to get there because I still have to go get the trailer, load it, take it to the shop, and then get back to Home Depot. So I figure it'll take me an hour and a half to get there and an hour to get back. And, I'll probably be at the shop a little time talking to them about the trailer. So I'm just expecting 3 hours. I'm paying for 2 extra hours, which is, 60 bucks. And then I have to fill the truck back up with gas. So worst case scenario, 80 bucks, which is the cheapest out there. And then I don't have to deal with anyone else and I can kind of do it on my own time and I can make sure that everything's on the up and up. So I decide to rent the truck from Home Depot. So I did that. I rented the truck. I go back down to where my bike is parked, or my bike and my trailer are parked because I had to leave them to go to Home Depot in my car. And I'm like, okay, so it fits in the truck. I know that, but I'll put a picture of the truck here if I can find one. It is like a flatbed kind of truck and it's very high off the ground. So while my trailer is only 250 pounds and I can move it, like if I have to, I can get the thing into a pickup truck by myself. But this truck happens to be just a little bit taller than your average truck. So I get there and I'm like, well, fuck, how am I going to get it into the trailer? Because I can, like I said, I can lift it up and I can move it, but getting it, it's kind of an awkward shape to get up that high and into a truck. So I wait around for a minute or two trying to see if maybe someone comes by that I can ask. An officer happens to come by and I ask him if he can help me and he says, no, for liability, I can't touch anything. I cannot do that at all. So I'm like, all right, understood. So I wait for another few minutes and no one comes around. So, and I know that any other officer I see, because like I said, I'm in front of like a judicial complex and I'm like, there's no officer that's going to be able to help me because they're probably going to tell me the same thing. So I just take the tongue of the trailer and set it on the, opening of the truck with the bed down, with the lift gate down. And then I jump up into the bed of the truck, grab the crossbars, and then I just freaking beast mode this trailer into the back of the pickup truck. And I'm sure that if anyone saw me doing this, they were probably like, this woman does steroids. Because I'm telling you, it took everything in me to get that trailer up and onto this pickup truck by myself. And then just as I get it up and into the trailer, a guy comes and like I said, the tire had fallen off completely. So the tire's laying on the ground. So the guy comes and he's like, can I help you? And I'm like, you could have maybe 10 minutes ago. And he's like, okay. And he just picks up the tire and he puts the tire into the bed of the truck. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. But, it was what it was. I had to get there quickly because what I didn't tell you is that before I left to go pick up the truck, I called the non-emergency number to let, the police department know that I was disabled and that I would be leaving my motorcycle and my trailer there on the side of the road because it was a terrible spot. There was no parking. It was like a no parking zone. You'll be ticketed, towed, like you cannot park here. So I'm like, oh, if I let them know, then at least they'll know I'm coming back for it and hopefully I won't get ticketed and towed. So the police department comes out and I speak to him before I do this whole Home Depot shuffle. And he tells me, yeah, parking is a whole separate company from us. There's nothing we can do. If whatever they're going to do, it's parking that's doing it, not law enforcement. So I say, okay, can I contact parking and ask them? And he says, yeah, you can try, but there's a good chance that they don't care at all. So I call parking enforcement and I explain my situation and they tell me, tough luck. If we get out there and it's somewhere it's not supposed to be, we're going to ticket it. And if it's somewhere it's really not supposed to be, we're going to tow it. So I'm like, there's no way that you can like radio to your local, enforcement officer, whoever has this zone, and just let them know. And they're like, nope, there's nothing like that we can do. If it's not where it's supposed to be, we're going to tow it. So that's the reason why I was like hauling ass and why I made the choice to do the Home Depot run because I knew I could do it, I could hustle. I wouldn't have to wait on anyone else. So I get back there and thankfully both my trailer and my bike are still there. No tickets as far as I can see, and they haven't been towed. So I take the trailer to the shop. The guy looks at it. He tells me it's bad. It's real bad. This is not going to be an easy fix. You're in a terrible spot. So I say, okay, well, I got to go back to Home Depot, so I don't have time to chit chat about it right now. And this is like 15 minutes before they close on Friday. So the guy tells me it's Friday. There's nothing we can do today. We're closing the weekend, so the soonest we can even start to look at it is Monday. So I say, okay, fine. I gotta go. So I go back to Home Depot. I drop off the pickup truck. Now the issue that I have is that I have my car at Home Depot, and my bike is parked in Towland, like 15 minutes away from Home Depot. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just park my car and I'll walk down to get my bike, and then I'll ride my bike back to Home Depot, because at least at Home Depot there's a good chance that I'm not going to get towed from there. I can at least stay the night there and figure out what I'm going to do tomorrow, because the area that I'm in, you can't park anywhere. Not residentially, not at businesses, not on the street, not anywhere. You have to pay for parking everywhere. So I risk being towed everywhere. So I'm like, well, let me just get at least to Home Depot. We'll figure it out, and I'll do some research and figure out where I can go that I'm not going to get towed or ticketed. So now at this point, like after all this is said and done, I make the decision to walk to get my bike to ride it back to Home Depot. It's like getting late. It's like 7 o'clock at night. So it's like a hour walk, not really. It's like a 45-minute walk, because it's a couple miles and I'm walking slowly. I don't know where I'm going. And so I jump out of my car, I don't even grab my helmet or anything. And you're supposed to wear a helmet in the state that I'm in. But I was just like, I'm too tired. I don't feel like carrying it for an hour. I'm not doing it. I'm just going to race from where my bike is to Home Depot. And if I get stopped, I'll come up with a story. So I walk to where my bike is, and I don't realize it until I'm like 3/4 of the way there that my phone is almost dead. So if my phone, I don't know where I'm at, I'm not familiar with this area. There's a lot of one-way streets. Everything looks the same. So I'm like, if my phone dies before I make it to my bike, I'm not even sure that I'll know how to get to my bike. And then if I do make it to my bike, I certainly don't know how to get back to Home Depot. So right as I'm like 6 blocks away, my phone dies. And I don't realize it. Like I wasn't looking at it, and I can't remember the last 2 turns or 3 turns, whatever it is. And so I get turned around, and then I get completely lost. So there's like a monument that I can see that I know I'm going in the right direction, but I just cannot remember what street I was on. So I spend like an extra half an hour just walking around because I cannot figure out what street my bike is on. So then it starts to rain. So I'm just walking aimlessly in the dark while it's raining, trying to find a bike that I don't know where it is. Somehow, by the grace of God, I make the right turn and I see the corner and I know where the bike is. So I make it to the bike. But like I said, my phone is dead. And the way that I walked to this place is not going to be the same that I ride back, because all these streets are one ways. So it's not like I can just take a very direct route back to Home Depot. It's a lot of left and right to get back there because they're one way streets. So I'm like, well, I'm screwed. So I have a little breakdown. I cry a little bit because I'm just tired and stressed and I'm just ready to be, out of here. Another officer comes out and he's getting in his car to go home for the night, and I ask him if he can give me directions to Home Depot. He's like, "What are you doing? Why are you here?" I'm like, "Look, it's been a very long day. I just really need to make it back to Home Depot. Can you give me directions?" So he pulls out his phone and he goes, "Home Depot is at 123 Main Street." And I'm like, "No, my phone is dead and I'm not from here. Can you give me directions to it? Because I don't know where it is." And he's like, "Well, where are you from?" And I'm like, "North Carolina. I'm not from here. I've never been here. And I don't know where 123 Main Street is. So can you give me, turn by turn directions how to get there?" So he tells me, "Go to this light, make a left, go to that light, make a right, go down 3 lights." And I'm like, "No, no, 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 sir, you don't understand. I am lost. I don't know where anything is. I need street by street directions." So he starts to tell them to me. He gets to like the fifth one, and I'm like, "Look, I'm not going to remember that. Is there any way that you can write this down for me?" So he says, "Yeah, sure." He pulls out his little notepad. He writes down the directions, and then he hands the paper to me. And I look at the paper, and the paper says, "Go to that light, make a left, follow it down, make a right. There's no streets." These are the literal directions that he has written down. And I'm like, "Sir, can you please write down the street names? Because if I make a wrong turn, I'm not going to know where I am or where I'm supposed to be with directions that just say left, right, left, right." So he's like, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I understand." So he writes me the directions out with the streets on it. Perfect. So the rain has let up a little bit, thank God, but it's wet outside. And anyone who doesn't know this, I chopped the rear fender on my bike. So the little piece of metal that curves over the back tire, it's supposed to curve all the way over the back tire so that water and debris aren't slung on you while you're riding. Well, I care more about looking cool than being dry. So I chop mine off. And so if it's wet outside, it throws water all up my ass crack, in my back, in my neck, in my head. So that's how we're riding. Freezing cold at night. So I start these directions. I'm following them left, right, and I get like 4 or 5 left rights until my destination, and I can't find the street. So I pass by and I'm like, things are looking weird, and I'm like, no, I definitely haven't been this far, so I missed a turn. So I loop around, come down again, look for the street, go even further down. I'm like, nope, definitely missed the street. I did not go down this far. Loop around again, go down, don't see the street anywhere. So then I come to a place where I can't U-turn around, and I make a turn and I end up completely off course. So now I can't even get back to the streets that were on my list of directions. I'm seeing all new streets. And I'm like, fuck. And it's like, y'all, it's dark, it's raining, I'm disoriented, I'm tired, I'm stressed. Like, so I'm not thinking clearly. And this is a lot more difficult than it should be just because I'm just overwhelmed. So now I'm completely lost. And it's rained so bad that my directions that I had on my phone, my little piece of paper, have completely washed out. I can't see street names, I can't see directions. It's just garbage at this point. So like I said, there was this big monument by where my bike was, so I'm like, just make it back to that monument and then just try your best to, go back in the direction you're supposed to go from there. So I go all the way back to where my bike was and start over on this route, because I know where to get up to this point, to the street that I can't find, and I can't find it to save my life. I loop around like 4 more times and I cannot find the street. So on my last loop around, I'm coming back and an officer pulls up beside me and he points at me and he's like, "Your helmet, where's your helmet?" And so I point at him and I'm like, "I'm lost. I'm lost. Can you help me?" And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "I am lost. Can you pull over and can you help me?" So we stop in the middle of the highway. We just dead stop. And I'm like, "Sir, I'm lost. I'm tired. Can you help me?" He's like, "Why aren't you wearing a helmet?" I'm like, "Because my cart broke down and I'm just trying to pick up my bike and my helmet is in my car and I'm just trying to make it back to my car. So if you just tell me where this is, I will be off the road." And he's like, "Okay, fine, no problem." So he tells me, make a left right here, left right here. And I'm like, "Sir, I need a very direct route because I am lost and I am not from here." He's like, "Okay, if you bust a U-turn right here and follow this street all the way around, you will see the Home Depot sign." And I say, "Okay, perfect. Just right here, make a U-turn, follow it down." He's like, "Yep. Bang a Yui, just follow it down and you will see the big orange Home Depot sign." I say, "Thank God, have a good night," and I keep going. So I bang that U-turn and I go down and I don't see the street. So I'm like, okay, well maybe, you're stressed, you're frustrated. Calm down, turn around, take your time, look for it. So I turn around again, come back down the street, this time going a little bit slower, really trying to look at my surroundings, and I drive down the street and I don't see it. So I go around one more time, and this time I'm driving like 3 miles an hour, just looking at everything to make sure that I'm not missing this street. And I realize that the center street kind of comes down, and then there's 2 side streets that remain, level to the where I'm at now. So if you can imagine this, like imagine a 3-lane street, but these 2 streets are kind of small, and there's houses on them. So they don't really look like streets. It just looks like houses up here, and the main highway that kind of, curves down. So as I'm making my last pass and I'm coming down, I see a little tiny green sign that has the name of the street that I need. And I realize that I'm missing it because I'm going down when I should be staying up so I can see this street to turn on. So I'm like, that's why I couldn't find it, because I didn't realize that these were actually streets you could travel on. I thought they were just areas of pavement in front of homes. So loop around for the 4th time, take the high street, takes me all the way to Home Depot. Make it there in like 4 minutes. So I'm cold, I'm wet, I'm tired, And now I have to spend the night at Home Depot with my bike and my car in a lot that I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to be towed, because it's a very tow happy, unfriendly to homeless area. So I'm like, just make it through the night and we'll figure out something tomorrow. I posted a few things in some of the Facebook groups I'm in, asking people for recommendations on what to do or where to go. And a lady tells me that the metro stations, there's one not far from where I am, that'll allow you to park for free on the weekends. And this is Friday. So Saturday, Sunday will be free. And then you can park for like $5 or $6 a day going forward. Because the trailer, like I told you, it's in the shop. They told me they couldn't even look at it until Monday. And if they potentially have to order parts or something for it, I'm looking at, several days waiting for it to be done. So I take it to the metro station. I the next day, so I made it through the night. I didn't sleep at all because I was worried I was going to wake up on top of a tow truck. So the next morning, I take the bike and I ride it to the metro station to leave the bike there so my bike is safe, because at least it's gated and they have like security and stuff there, and it's just the best place to leave my bike. And I don't have to worry about it being towed, and it's at least free Saturday and Sunday. So then I have to make it back to my car, right? So I'm at the metro station. I have to take 2 trains back, and by the grace of God, there's a metro station right across the street from Home Depot, like a 3-minute walk. So it was really easy for me to metro back, walk to Home Depot, and now I have my car. So I drove my car to the metro station as well, because Saturday and Sunday, like I said, are free, and it's just a safe place for me, the car, and the bike to be. So now I'm like, all right, my bike is fine here long term for the rest of the week, but come Monday, there's going to be attendance and people and everything else, so I can't sleep at this metro station with the bike. Like, it's not an option. I still have to find somewhere to go. So a nice woman sends me a message and says, hey, I'm about 12 miles away from you, and you can park in my lot at my apartment complex, and you don't have to worry about being towed, and it's free. And she's like, and if you want, you can stay in my apartment. She's like, I stay in a small apartment, but if you'd like to, you can stay with me. And I'm like, all right, beautiful. So that's where I am now. I'm at her apartment complex. I'm still staying in my car just because I don't want to put them out. It was nice enough for her to let me bring my bike and my car here, and she's been a lovely lady so far. Hopefully I'll get my laundry done today too. So I'm ecstatic. I don't have to pay for my bike to be parked anywhere, and I don't have to worry about, my bike being messed with, because it's here with me safe. So all of that is taken care of. So today the trailer company, the repair place, calls me, and they tell me that my axle and my it's all shot. It is shot to hell. There's no saving it. There's no fixing it. So I'm like, so what do I do? What are my options? So she's like, well, you can rent a trailer from U-Haul or something. And I'm like, my car can't tow. It's too heavy. And she's like, well, we can try to call the company that you bought the trailer from to see if they have parts. And I'm like, I have dealt with this company. I it's not even an option. That it's not going to happen. Just no, we're not doing that. So I'm asking her if they sell any lightweight trailers, because at this point I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have to buy a whole new trailer. So she tells me, so as she's talking to me, there's a guy in the background. 'Cause it's like a mom and pop shop. They got kids screaming in the background and the whole nine. So as she's talking to me, I can hear him in the background. He's kind of talking to her as she's talking to me. So we're like playing telephone between us. So she's like, let you talk to him, and he'll explain it to you. So I speak to him, and he's like, so what we can do is just completely tear the ass end out of the trailer and put your whole new axle, hub, and wheels on it. But what's going to happen is your trailer is no longer going to be compact. Like, because as it stands, my trailer can be folded down to be very small for storage. But he told me, he's like, we're going to have to cut these features off of it to get this new axle on it. And then it's just going to be a solid trailer. It's no longer going to have that foldability. And I'm like, look, at this point, I have done so many repairs and just MacGyvering and bolting together. Like, I have done everything to this trailer to the point that it's barely even foldable as it is, because I've just done so much modifying to this thing to put it back together. I really don't care. If you have to cut the whole bottom off of it and just weld that bitch to 2 tires, do it. Do it. And he's like, okay, well, we can do that. I figured you didn't want to do that. I'm like, nope. Do exactly that. If that's what's going to get me rolling, smack that bitch together, duct tape it, concrete it, Scotch-Brite it. I don't do all of it. So he's like, all right, that's what we're going to do. And I'm like, so how long will it take? You have to order parts? He's like, nope, we've got everything we need right here. Wonderful. So I asked him, I'm like, well, so how much do you think it's going to be? Because when I first went, they told me it could be anywhere from $50 for just replacing the hub, the wheel end of the axle, to the axle being shot and having to replace everything. So now I realize that we're at the replace everything stage. So I asked him how much, and then he told me it could be in excess of $400 if we have to do the whole shebang. So at this point, I'm understanding that we're at whole shebang territory. So he tells me $550 is what it's going to cost to do this. So when the money that I've spent Super Bowl shuffling 2 vehicles around, having to tow the trailer, paying for gas, I'm probably in about $750 total for this event. So I tell him, okay, go ahead and get it started. And he's like, are you sure you want to, you want to shop around? You want to see if maybe renting a truck? I was like, nope, I'm done with it now. Like, let's just do it and I will figure it out later. So that is where we are. $550 for my $1,000 trailer that I've spent even more money fixing, along the road. But you know what? Ultimately, my credit card company I disputed it and they gave me my money back for the trailer. So I am about $800, after paying for this into the trailer anyway. So I've basically just paid for the trailer. So I can't be upset about it, but it was money I wasn't expecting to spend, a lot of money at one time that I was not expecting to spend. So going forward, it is, do I continue with this trailer on my trip praying that it doesn't bankrupt me? Do I take my bike back to Chicago to store it with my family and continue the trip without my bike, which is soul crushing? I don't want to do that at all. Or do I just throw in the towel and say, shit keeps hitting the fan, get out while you're ahead before this leaves you in a bad position financially? Because right now it's sucking, it's killing my finances, but I'm not in the weeds yet. But do I keep going until I have an event that puts me in the weeds? I don't know. So I spent today kind of sightseeing, wasting time, because there's really nothing I can do until they finish with the trailer. And I saw this. So do you think that means I should keep going? Or do you think that means I should give up? I don't know. I guess we'll see. I still got some time to think about it until they finish with the trailer and I go figure out how to pick it up. And in the meantime, that's it. That's what's going on. I've still been posting on Instagram a lot of stuff that I've been holding on to. I'll post those pictures of it as well on Instagram so you can get a good look at it. And that's all it is for now. So I will keep you guys updated and I'll let you know when I'm back on the road. Hopefully it's very soon. And you'll know more in my very next video. I'll see you guys then. Bye.